Live from Afghanistan with Nick Robertson. The search for Osama bin Laden, or his body, goes cave to cave in the mountains of Tora Bora. And answers from Al-Qaeda fighters, now held captive, may provide important clues to bin Laden's location.
If true, then many more Arabs could be on the run in these mountains.
Harris Whitbeck on how officials use the dogs of war to remove the risks from the battlefield.
The dogs are trained to sniff and immediately stop and sit when they detect explosives in the ground, letting their handlers come in to deactivate the mines.
And an American flag that once flew at the World Trade Center site is raised in Kandahar by U.S. Marines.
In this war on terrorism, I think it symbolizes that we've taken the first step of many steps that need to be taken.
Live from Afghanistan, Nick Robertson.
Tonight, live from Afghanistan, comes from the White Mountains near Tora Bora in eastern Afghanistan. Eastern Alliance commanders have pulled off the majority of their forces out of the Tora Bora mountain area. High winds and deep falling snow has made search of caves in the high peaks difficult. However, on the lower peaks there are still some cave-to-cave searches going ahead by Eastern Alliance fighters. President Bush has told congressional leaders that more videotapes have been found at Taliban and Al-Qaeda headquarters and premises and caves. He says he doesn't know yet if they were as significant as the videotape released last week showing Osama bin Laden in conversation with other commanders discussing the September the 11th attacks. The president says there will be experts looking at these videotapes. Eastern Alliance commanders here have seized captive several dozen Al-Qaeda prisoners. This number falls far short of the 2,000 plus Arabs supporting Osama bin Laden who have been thought to be hiding in these mountains. However, when we talked to some of these prisoners, they denied being members of Al-Qaeda. Some moan in pain, others read the Quran, and still others can only be seen when they roll over in their blankets on the crowded floor. All were captured on the Tora Bora mountains, but some claim not to be Al-Qaeda members.
Believe me, a lot of people in the mountains, they don't know even the face of Osama bin Laden. He is such a person mobile. Maybe he is here, maybe he is out, and no one knows.
He says he is a doctor and came here 3 months ago because he thought if there was a war, Afghans would need help. He describes fleeing the local hospital when the Afghans turned on him a month ago.
They asked me to escape, and they saw the people surrounding the hospital with the gun, and I saw some people were killed in front of me. So they forced me to escape, and the only way and the only tranche was only for us was these mountains.
He talks of the intense bombing in the mountains and of how they decided to flee 4 days ago.
Then they discover us and they start firing us by the Apache. A lot of people killed, 25 or maximum, and plenty of people injured. I have injured to my back and near blunt trauma to my left flank. And it was by anti-aircraft guns.
14 prisoners are crowded in the tiny room, a mixture of Arabs and Pakistanis. Few want to be identified, and aside from Dr. Syed, only this 18-year-old Kuwaiti was willing to talk. He says he came to Afghanistan to join the jihad 6 weeks ago. What's done is done, he says. I don't have anything to say to my parents, but he does want to go home. Now, true or false, these accounts are likely to be heard by investigators trying to ascertain the whereabouts of Osama bin Laden. Now, that prison facility we visited was just a few miles from here, and in the night we could hear helicopters coming from the direction of Kandahar in the south, flying to that prison facility and taking off again to the south. Now, at Kandahar itself, Marines have been building a detention center for captured Al-Qaeda members, and just last night 15 Al-Qaeda members were brought in from a prison facility facility in the north of Afghanistan, near Mazar-e-Sharif. There are now 8 FBI investigators on hand at Kandahar City Airport, where the Marines have built this prison facility, on hand to interrogate and investigate and question those Al-Qaeda members. They have some quite extreme discretionary powers. They are able, we understand, to offer cash inducements and in extreme cases even offer sanctuary in the United States. Now this prison facility is a tented facility. There are 3 layers of razor wire outside it. There are Marines guarding inside and outside the prison facility itself. The extreme measures being taken here are designed to head off what happened in Mazar-e-Sharif a month or so ago, when there was a revolt by Taliban and Al-Qaeda members in a prison facility there. Some of them were armed, and it was a week-long standoff in which many, many prisoners and other people, including one CIA official, were killed. Now the security measures at Kandahar now very, very tight for all arriving Al-Qaeda prisoners there. Also in Kandahar city, there is news from the police chief there that the governor and the police chief now know the whereabouts of the Taliban leader, Mullah Muhammad Omar. But as Mandy Kibble now reports, the searches for him have not yet begun.
Traffic police back on Kandahar streets battle drivers who have for years been allowed to do what they want. The chaos of a carnival to mark the end of the month-long fast of Ramadan. Everywhere, signs of a city determined to turn away from a difficult and painful past. But those responsible for engineering that past are not forgotten nor forgiven. Kandahar's new intelligence chief, Haji Gulalai, says his people know where former Taliban leader Mullah Muhammad Omar is, just 8 hours away west of Kandahar in Helmand province, in the district of Baghran. Baghran is a mountainous, cave-filled area and once was an Al-Qaeda stronghold. But Mullah Omar's capture and punishment must wait, says Gulalai. Right now, there is urgent rebuilding to be done. We have no time to search for Mullah Omar right now, he says. First, we must take care of the internal situation in Kandahar province. The city is destroyed. First, we must make the city safe for the people living here, complete the government, provide clean water, food, jobs. There are no doctors here, no medical supplies and equipment, no schools, no education. We must demilitarize the city. These are our priorities. Mullah Omar will come later. The intelligence community here, insists Gulalai, is watching Mullah Omar's movements closely and waiting. We have special people watching him, he says. They know every move he makes. Even if he moves house, we will know. There is no place for him to run in the whole world. He is trapped, surrounded by his enemies. That intelligence is shared freely, says Gulalai, with US special forces here. But the US search for Mullah Omar is completely separate. So far, Gulalai's forces have not been involved in US operations. And what of Osama bin Laden? Gulalai says he has no recent information on bin Laden's movements, but there are some tantalizing hints.
Nick, Gulalai says this information about Osama bin Laden came to him a while ago, some 15 or 20 days ago, in fact before Kandahar fell. What he tells us is this. He was told 2 local drivers were instructed by the Taliban corps commander here in Kandahar to drive some Arab passengers to the Helmand province border. There the drivers were told to wait for what the commander described as some guests. The drivers say they waited about 30 minutes and then a convoy of about 45 vehicles approached. The drivers claim Osama bin Laden was in that convoy. They say Osama bin Laden got out of his vehicle, made a satellite phone call in which he spoke in Arabic. Then he came over to their cars, spoke to their Arab passengers. When that meeting was over, they say Osama bin Laden got back into his vehicle and the convoy drove away. Gulalai says that is the last he heard of Osama bin Laden. Nick?
Amanda, do you get the impression from the new authorities in Kandahar that they're going to leave the search for the Taliban leader, Mullah Muhammad Omar, entirely up to American forces?
Certainly at this stage, Nick, that is very much the impression that they're giving us. As I said earlier in my piece, their priority right now is to rebuild Kandahar, a city destroyed by years of war, years of Taliban abuse, and more recently by the US bombings here. So at the moment there is no indication whatsoever that the authorities here on the ground intend to go after Mullah Omar and launch any kind of significant manhunt. I think at this stage it's quite clear that the US Special Forces on the ground here have their work cut out for them. They certainly, as we know, are going after Al-Qaeda fighters, and we believe too that there are searches underway for Mullah Omar. Nick?
Just a week ago in Kandahar, we were still hearing reports of tension between different tribal factions and the new Kandahar authorities. Is all that under control now?
I wouldn't say it's under control, Nick, but certainly there are attempts to get that under control. In fact, Tuesday we attended a meeting of local tribal commanders from all over Kandahar, from within the city and its surrounds. They were called together basically to discuss the prospects for a future with a peaceful, unified future in Afghanistan. The message sent to these commanders was, put down your weapons, the time for tribal differences is over, the only way forward for Afghanistan is in peace and unity. And those commanders we spoke to, all of them of course still carrying their weapons, all of them still very much armed, told us that they were quite happy to put down their weapons. They were happy to see a future in Afghanistan unified without tribal differences. So certainly there are efforts underway, very, very intense efforts right now, to try and break down those tribal barriers, Nick.
Amanda Kibble, live in Kandahar. Thank you very much indeed. In Bagram Air Base, just north of Kabul, another US serviceman was injured by a landmine. That brings to a total of 4 US service personnel injured by landmines in the last 4 days. 22 years of war in Afghanistan have left up to 10 million mines scattered throughout the country. And every day Afghans are injured by those mines. Many times they are children just out collecting firewood. Also, there now in Afghanistan are well over several thousand men going out every day under the auspices of the United Nations and other demining organizations to demine the country. But as Harris Whitbeck now reports, even dogs are being pressed into that service.
Easy.
Abdul Wahid trusts his dog Dak like he does few humans.
Very nice dog. Good. What's a nice dog?
Every day, Dak puts his life on the line for his master.
I can say you that I train these dogs, and I know that the dog will not make mistake.
Show us dog. This side.
They are equal partners in a very dangerous enterprise, clearing thousands of mines from the battlefields of Afghanistan. Dak, a 3-year-old German Shepherd, is one of 187 dogs that make up one of the most effective minesweeping forces in the country.
I think that the dogs' work is more efficient than the deminer work, because a mine detector can't find plastic mines under the land, but a dog can find plastic mine under the land because they are smiling only the explosive.
The dogs are trained to sniff and immediately stop and sit when they detect explosives in the ground, letting their handlers come in to deactivate the mines.
Live in! Live in!
They respond to commands in English or German. And in Afghanistan, a country riddled with literally millions of hidden landmines, they have been used to clear thousands of hectares. Amazingly, only 5 of these dogs have been killed since the demining program started in 1989. Trainers say it's because of their uncanny sense of smell and way of perceiving danger. Training takes about 18 months. At a kennel and training center outside of Kabul, the dogs are groomed from birth for their dangerous job. Taught to identify the smell of explosives and to fetch a plastic ball as a reward. Their trainers say the reward for their country is much greater.
Do you know that these dogs help us very much, and they found many mines under the land, and they cleared for us many mine areas.
They are some of Afghanistan's silent heroes, and quite possibly its best friends. Harris Whitbeck, CNN, Kabul, Afghanistan.
When we come back, a walk through the US Embassy in Kabul. What was left after the years the diplomats were away?
the Lexus December to Remember sales event.
Oh, the Millers have a new Lexus.
Not the Millers. You.
You'll find special values whether you buy or lease.
It's beautiful.
Well, we got you a new CD player.
The December to Remember sales event. Missing it would definitely spoil the surprise.
I cannot believe this!
See your Lexus dealer.
AOL keeps me closer to the people I love.
Everyone I know is on AOL.
I have a best friend that lives in Denver. With AOL, I talk to her every day.
We send pictures of our kids to their grandparents.
Oh, my grandpa loves AOL. He's on all the time.
Opening emails like Christmas. You know, you just never know what's coming.
Definitely keeps me connected to family and friends.
I mean, I'm even on my grandma's buddy list.
Am I on your buddy list?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Call 1-800-4ONLINE.
$34? $51? $45 last month for long distance? How much are you paying? You need Sprint 500 anytime. 500 state-to-state minutes to use any day, anytime for $25 a month. $25 a month is going to help a lot of people. Sprint 500 anytime. The smarter way to cut your long-distance bill. Sign up now. Call 1-800-PIN-DROP.
He's running out of places to hide. America says they have bin Laden cornered. So how long can the world's most wanted man stay on the run? Greta Van Susteren investigates at 8:30 Eastern. Depend on CNN tonight.
I'm Robert Novak from Washington, D.C. and around the world. All of us here at CNN wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a very prosperous New Year.
You've worked hard, and as you plan for the future of the people who depend on you, you search for the right financial partner. In Pacific Life, you found it. Nearly half the Fortune 500 rely on the Pacific Life family of companies. With over 130 years of experience and more than $300 billion of managed assets. For your family or for business, discover the power of Pacific Life.
Bombed and burned out but never destroyed, the U.S. Embassy in Kabul is now open, offering hope to Afghans that after 12 years of absence, the United States is returning. As John Vors discovered during a tour through the battle-scarred buildings, much of the compound survived the battles going on around it.
A moment frozen in time, January 30, 1989, the day the U.S. Embassy was evacuated. Windows and doors locked, bolted and welded shut. The building's been deserted ever since, except for a small workforce of Afghan guards and groundkeepers. We were among the first allowed inside. What we found was a time capsule. On the tables in the staff canteen, newspapers and magazines from a different era. On the front page of Time, George Bush with Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev. The Deputy Chief Missions Office, like everywhere else, covered in a thick layer of dust. In the corner of the room, old reports on the Soviet Union, a reminder of the tensions of the Cold War. The office of the Charge d'Affaires, an old record player.
What actually is it? CDs go where?
A photo of then Secretary of State George Shultz. Everywhere throughout this building, signs of a frantic departure. Filing cabinets left open, documents scattered across desks. In the conference room, a cigar left in an ashtray. Bottles of Fanta left half full.
When you look at this room, what do you think when you come into a room like this?
What I find interesting about it is that it seems to be just sort of a living time capsule of this embassy. I mean, it's clear that people, when they left this embassy, they left in a hurry, and it's not neat, it's not tidy. I think it shows, sort of a nice, touch of probably what was going through everybody's minds as they were, rushing to hurry up and get out of the building.
The embassy was closed after the Soviet withdrawal. There were fears that U.S. staff would be caught in the crossfire of the civil war which followed. The Taliban ransacked this building, taking the floor carpet and office equipment, but to the surprise of U.S. staff here, there was no major damage.
What do you think about the future? What's going to happen in this office You know, what's going to happen here, I guess, is the question.
Well, this, of course, is a key building block, for the future of American relations with Afghanistan, and I assume it will not be too long until we have another ambassador here, and America's back in Afghanistan in a big way.
There hasn't been an American ambassador here since 1979, when Spike Dubs was assassinated. Lower-level diplomats were left in charge. But now the American flag is again flying over the compound, the very same flag which was flying almost 13 years ago. For many Afghans, a symbol of hope that this time the US may be here for good. John Vors, CNN, Kabul.
When we come back, the flag found in the rubble at Ground Zero travels to Kandahar and raises the spirits of the Marines.
Was it a snake? No, because champagne's not Corbel.
Corbel, for people who know champagne.
Wish your wife would wrap up the shopping. And you just wish you were out of here. Guys, I think I can help you out. At $8.99, a Dimension desktop with an Intel Pentium 4 processor is the perfect gift for anyone. Call or go online today and get a free CD burner or an all-in-one print center.
Dude, I'm getting it down.
Honey? Holiday values made easy. Easy as Dell.
Tonight, a rare sit-down interview with First Lady Laura Bush, plus the tour the public can't take this year of the White House holiday decorations. Christmas at the White House, tonight 9 Eastern on Larry King Live.
CNN thanks you for making us America's most watched cable news network. This year and every year, you can depend on CNN.
Kids today have big plans. What are you going to be when you graduate college?
A doctor.
I feel better already. And you?
CEO.
That's great. And you?
An artist.
I love your work. Like I said, big plans. That's why we created New Jersey Best, a program to help New Jersey residents save for college. New Jersey Best helps your kids follow their dreams.
NJ Best is New Jersey's flexible college savings plan. Starting in January, NJ Best is exempt from both state and federal taxes. Call 1-877-4NJ-BEST.
Acme presents a fresh perspective on good taste. With fresh ways to save. Start with the goodness of fresh asparagus, on sale for just $1.78 a pound. Holiday parties call for Coke or Pepsi. 5 12-packs are only $10. And Lancaster brand beef bone-in ribeye roast is just $3.99 a pound. Looking for something fresh? Acme, it's your store.
Happy holidays from CNN.
I'm Larry King. From all of us here at CNN to everybody around the world, season's greetings and best wishes for the holidays.
I'm Greta Van Susteren in Washington. Her husband was a policeman. He was murdered 20 years ago. Today, a judge threw out the killer's death sentence. I'll be joined by attorney Johnny Cochran and by the policeman's widow on the point in less than 10 minutes. Live from Afghanistan, we'll be right back.
IBM is proud to be associated with global business influentials.
Carlos Slim is Mexico's master turnaround artist, whether it be ailing telecom companies, banks, or retailers. Latin America's richest man, Slim built his fortune by fixing troubled companies like internet service provider Prodigy and Sears Mexican operations, turning them into profitable investments. Running his vast empire has become a family affair. Slim's 3 sons manage top divisions, including the dominant phone company in Mexico, Telmex, and American computer retailer CompUSA.
Global Business Influentials is sponsored by IBM, taking e-business and your business to the next level. Log on to cnn.com/influentials for a closer look at these world business leaders.
Our consultants say this is the best piece of strategic thinking they've ever done. But our IT guys say it's a fantasy. They say it won't work.
And you want to know who's telling you the truth?
Exactly.
Well, there's the rub, Stanley. They both are.
Strategies you can actually execute? It's not a fantasy.
Hello? Hi, Uncle Savion.
Introducing the best America Online ever. New version 7.0. It's better, faster, and easier.
Just like a click and you're connected.
7.0 is fast.
It's got all the new features. It's just so easy.
All new AOL version 7.0.
Welcome.
It's everything you love about America Online.
You've got mail.
Now with cool new features and places to go.
I'm falling in love with the new features. 7.0 is the best.
Don't be a chicken, it's easy.
America Online, new version 7.0. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Call 1-800-4ONLINE.
At Kandahar Airport, there was a solemn moment when the flag found in the rubble of the World Trade Center was raised by Marines. The flag had been signed by firemen, policemen, and families of victims of the September the 11th terrorist attack. As Department of Defense pool reporter David Wright reports, the gift was a message of thanks and honor to the Marines.
For the Marine Corps, the flag is an icon of freedom and of sacrifices made in the name of honor. This flag has special significance. It was found in the rubble of Ground Zero and is dedicated to civilians, the first casualties in this war. It was inscribed at Ground Zero by family members of the victims, by firefighters, FBI agents, and police officers, and by New Yorkers brought together by a tragedy. The stars carry the names of police officers who lost their lives September 11th, as well as sailors who died on the USS Cole. The flag belongs to the New York Police Department's Emergency Services Unit, many of whose members are former Marines. They felt it important that the flag come to Afghanistan as a powerful reminder to these Marines of what they're fighting for. This morning, in the courtyard of Kandahar Airport, the 3 Marines charged with raising the flag stood stock still for a good 15 minutes as the men gathered to reflect on its significance.
To have this one signed by families of victims, police officers from New York City, have flown in New York City, be able to bring it out here, take this airfield, and raise that flag, that means a lot to all the Marines and sailors that are here, and all the armed forces, I'm sure.
The assembly saluted as the stars and stripes climbed slowly up the flagpole. It hung there for a moment, tentative and quiet, before it found a gust of wind and unfurled in the morning sun. David Wright with the U.S. Marines in Kandahar.
It's almost dawn here in Afghanistan, and the search for Al-Qaeda members continue in the mountains around here. We can see overhead lights belonging to U-2 spy planes flying. We can hear the sound of aircraft occasionally overhead, still pursuing the Al-Qaeda members. Thank you for watching. Live from Afghanistan, we'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Up next, The Point with Greta Van Susteren. And for our international viewers, World Sport is next.